Welcome back to Gator Country TV. I'm Laura McKeeman here with this week's All Sports Report. The Florida volleyball team notched its 19th consecutive 20-plus win season after defeating Auburn 3-0 Sunday. Now they look toward LSU Friday. Florida head coach Mary Wise talks about the Tigers, who are tied with the Gators for second in the SEC.
Well, I think we have the way the schedule in the SEC works is you play each team home and away. And when we played LSU the first time, you have to understand they played really well. LSU could have beaten just about anybody in the country as well as they played that night. And what we hope is a month later that we can do some things so that we can at least disrupt that some. And we have a chance to do it on our home court. I think our team is better prepared to play a team like LSU, but we also understand they're really, really good.
Florida will attempt its 9th consecutive sweep in the O-Dome this Friday. Now on to soccer. The Gators will face Illinois State in NCAA Championship first-round action. Florida is the number 3 seed in the tournament. And moving to the hardwood, the Gator men's basketball team defeated Weber International 104-53 Monday. Florida opens the regular season against the Stetson Hatters on Sunday. And the Gator women's basketball team is starting things up this weekend as well, with a game versus Stetson on Saturday. Florida head coach Amanda Butler says this team is ready to play.
You hope that our focus, our intensity, how vocal we are, all those things will just go to a whole new level as we actually have a for real game week now.
Florida returns 9 letter winners from last year. Now let's finish up with softball. The Gators hosted Santa Fe for the second time this fall and came out with an 8-4 victory. Junior Tiffany DeFelice made an impact with 2 leadoff home runs and went 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Freshman Inslee Gamble pitched 6 innings and struck out 7 while allowing only 5 hits. Florida plays its final fall game this Friday against Chipola College. Well, that'll do it for this week's All Sports Report. Now back to the studio.
Well, Laura, thanks for that report. We're really looking forward to that LSU volleyball game on Friday night.
Exactly. That game is key for Florida's push to win another SEC championship. But, Justin, we got to get into some recruiting. Let's talk about some guys that were at the Vanderbilt game that stick out.
Well, Laura, it was a little surprising, definitely the Vanderbilt game. Not really expecting a lot of big-name visitors, but there were 3 guys in particular that really stood out amongst the group that were in for the Vanderbilt game. First off, John Fulton, cornerback out of Manning, South Carolina. Cornerback, a very important position in this class for the Florida Gators. So to get him in on an official visit, that's really big for Florida in trying to land that great cornerback class they're trying to bring in this year. Fulton is 6 foot, 180 pounds, was on an official visit during the game, actually before the game, saw Urban Meyer spend a lot of time with both Fulton and his mother. So it's very interesting to see that, and that's not really typical. Another big name, Joshua Shaw out of Palmdale, California. He was in on an unofficial visit, but another important visitor this weekend, a 6'1", 185-pound cornerback. And then the other big name, Jeff Luke out of Port St. Lucie. Oh, yeah, you love the Lukester. Yeah, Port St. Lucie, Treasure Coast High School, 6 foot, 245 pounds, number 1 linebacker on the board for the Florida Gators.
All right, Justin, so let's switch gears a little bit. Last week we talked about the offensive line prospects. Let's switch to defensive line. Tell us about some guys that are already committed to Florida.
Right now, Laura, there are 2 prospects committed to the Florida Gators on the defensive line. First off is Leon Orr, Under Armour All-American out of Newport Richey, goes to Gulf High School. His season ended a little early this year in the second game, suffered a leg fracture, which he's still recovering from, but big things are expected of a 6'5", 300-pounder who it is expected will start out on the defensive line at tackle, but he could be used on offense, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Then the other big prospect to keep an eye on is Lyndon Trail out of Miami, already committed to the Gators, 6'7", 210 pounds, a Jarvis Moss clone, has 25 sacks over the last 2 seasons, so a really dangerous pass rusher coming off the edge, and definitely a player the Gators are really happy to have.
And then we have some guys that haven't committed to Florida yet. One of these guys comes all the way from California, Ronald Powell. Talk about some of these guys.
Well, that's right, Laura. Ronald Powell out of Rancho Verde, California, 6'4", 230-pound defensive end. I mean, we're talking about a player who is maybe the number 1 defensive end in the entire country, right out of USC's backyard. If the Gators can get him, and it's looking like they're leading right now for his services, that would be a huge steal.
And then who else really impresses you that's kind of left out, not quite committed to Florida yet?
Well, there's 2 other names we're really keeping an eye on, Laura. First off is Chris Martin out of Aurora, Colorado, committed to Notre Dame, but with all the issues going on right now in South Bend, there's a chance he could flip to the Gators. And another name we're keeping an eye on, a little closer to home, out of Titusville, Florida, is Darius Cummings, committed to Florida State, 6'2", 260-pounder, who could play inside or out, end or tackle. Very versatile player, great defensive lineman, and Florida's moving in on him. He will make an official visit to Gainesville in December.
All right, Justin, good to hear about defensive line prospects. Let's lock this thing up for insider recruiting. And stay tuned. Coming up next is the Gator Country Roundtable.
Campus Chatter is brought to you in part by Titletown Textbooks, located in the Westgate Regency Plaza on the southwest corner of University Avenue and 34th Street, near Granby's and Latin Cafe and Powerhouse Gym. Visit Titletown Textbooks today.